Now, a social experiment enterprise.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Stop Now. I'm Nate.
Hello there, I'm Melissa.
Yes, and Melissa, we've got a great show for the people this week. We've got some special announcements even to let them know about.
Wow, all right, that's right. We're going to make the show more interesting by reading out the real stories shared to us.
Ooh, I can't wait for that, Melissa. But I do have a question. Does that mean that we're not going to go to calls, or we're not going to have our Q&A segment?
Well, not really, Nate. We're going to cover that as well. During the next few weeks, we will focus on the topics of interest.
Okay, and speaking of interesting topics, Melissa, let me give this announcement to the folks out there because we are going to have a panel discussion. We're going to have a debate on the stories and invite experts to talk about these issues so we can all work to find a solution.
That is great. Shall we begin? Introduce our first topic.
Of course. And before we get to that, we need to check in with JK and our team to see if we have any callers waiting on the line for us.
Hi, Nathan. Hi, Melissa. Thank you. I think one of the caller who has shared the story, hopefully he will be able to join us today. If not, as Nate mentioned, that we are working on the panel discussion, and we got an overwhelming response from all the guests who accepted it, and a whole list of more than 20 people are there.
Oh, okay.
That
Wow.
is quite interesting and amazing. We didn't expect that. Ranging from people who work on anti-trafficking, even an FBI agent, I would say. She said, like, she needs a special permission from a department to uh, share her views on those abuses and traffic victims, and real survivors are also on the list. I don't know how we are going to manage that. Real domestic violence experts and human trafficking from all over the world, like from Australia to UK, from everywhere. So we are trying to work on that. But let's begin with uh, the previous episode, right? I believe Melissa accepted some challenge. Do you remember that?
I actually do remember. I accepted the challenge to try to, spread the charity, spread the wealth, give some help. So let's see, what did I do this week? I was looking what I could do with the kids. I'm not even gonna lie. I accepted the challenge.
You say, so what had happened was
what happened was everything required me to be solo, and I have two little ones that I couldn't get rid of them this week. It wasn't working. So next week though, my little sister, she has community service that she has to do for school. She's going to college, high school next year, and she needs to perform some of that. So I actually was talking to my mom. I said, whatever she does, just sign me up. You got to watch my kids, but sign me up, and I'm going with her.
Okay, good. See, and I hear you, Melissa. Like, I understand. Like, but as the old saying goes, charity begins at home. So you can just say that you were you were being charitable to the kids this past week.
You got that right, Nate. You got that. I was a lot of charity, a lot of helping here, a lot of forgiveness going on. It was a good week, Nate.
Oh, well, actually, Melissa, I felt emboldened by your challenge. So I actually did something this week. I didn't think that I was going to be able to do it just because of the way my work schedule's been. But we've got a thing here in Virginia called Port. And basically what Port is, it's something in the wintertime where a lot of the local area churches or a lot of the local, food banks and organizations like that, they kind of work together to help out homeless folks, because that, as bad as coronavirus has been, as bad as the economy's been this year, like the homelessness issue is something that we talked about last week, Melissa. It's something a lot of people forget about, especially
Absolutely.
during the holiday season. And so, I was able to, one of the things I do besides talk on a microphone is I cook. I've worked in restaurants since I was, 10, 15 years old, in one way, shape,
Okay.
or form. And so, I was able to go to one of the soup kitchens and help, cook a few meals and pass out the meals. And yeah, it was different this year because everything had, like, the kitchen had to be socially distanced and everybody had to wear their mask and their gloves in the kitchen. But it felt good, to kind of be able to give back, at least in a little way.
Oh, that's wonderful, Nate. That's so nice. I love it.
So yeah, like let's throw the challenge out there to the audience again. Like, anything that you can do, like whether it's big or small, whether it's donating money or donating time, or doing something like I did and helping out at the food kitchen. This is the season to do that, because there's a lot of people that have had a really tough year. And anything we can do, if we have the means to help folks, is something good, Melissa.
Absolutely. Indeed. It's been a tough year, definitely. So that is true. Next week, I am on it. I'm doing something outside of this household. But I definitely do help in this household. You're correct, Nate.
Oh, but what do you think about next week, though, Melissa? I think it's going to be really interesting. Like, JK, that's the first time I've heard that, because I knew JK was working on something special for us. But,
Right.
to have that many people that want to come on and talk and share their stories, I'm a little worried about the FBI agent potentially coming on, because I might have an unpaid parking ticket or two.
Uh-oh, Nate.
And I might need to take care of that before next week. But I think it's going to be a really interesting conversation.
Oh my gosh, I am so excited. When I heard this before we actually started this, it really hyped me up. I don't know, I'm all super smiley today. My face is starting to hurt. Like, I'm just so happy that we're getting out here. We're letting people become more aware. They're coming, they're going to share their stories with us. We're going to have some great conversations, some wonderful topics that need to be talked about. So I'm really excited to see where this is going to go.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
it's gonna be a fun time, Melissa. And again, like, for the folks out there, like, if you have stories, get in contact with our team. You see our number, you see our email address. There are ways that you can get in contact with us here at Stop Now, because well, there's a lot of folks out there, Melissa, that I think go through things like this, whether we're talking about, being abused at work or being taken advantage of, and they kind of suffer in silence because they don't know what to do. They don't know where to turn. And so, yeah, if you can let us know what's going on with you, then we can help. Because that's the thing, Melissa. Like, we can't solve a problem until we know there's a problem out there.
Absolutely. There are a lot of people out here that don't feel like they have any options or they don't know who to talk to. So this is a great platform to be able to let people know that you can talk to us. We will do what we can to help you get the information that you need, connect you with people who know
Yes.
what to do with the situation. You don't have to suffer in silence. So this is just such a beautiful platform to have. I'm just very excited to be a part of this.
Mm. Well, speaking of exciting, Melissa, like, these are exciting times right now because, not only is it the holiday season, not only is this a time where supposedly, we're going to see the best of people. I know it's been a long year, but supposedly, this is when everybody can come together. But also, getting back to a point we talked about last week in regards to COVID, it looks like we've got a vaccine on the way, Melissa. I hadn't checked the roads out there, but it might actually be in one of those trucks right now heading down the highway.
Right. My timelines are flooded with information, whether it's true or false, but it's still
Mm.
out there. It gives me the opportunity to do more research about these, upcoming vaccines. I mean, once again, I'm excited. It means that we're hopefully getting closer to the end and starting again. And I'm just
Mm.
really hoping that this is some good stuff in these vaccines.
It reminds me of a quote, Melissa, and I believe it's Winston Churchill.
Okay.
who once said, this isn't the end. This isn't even the beginning of the end, but it could be the end of the beginning. And I feel
Yes.
like, this kind of state that everybody's been locked in since March,
Mm,
maybe even before that, for our viewers in, overseas.
absolutely.
They've been dealing with this before America even began to deal with this. But I feel like we're getting to the point where, and I'm saying this optimistically, like knock on wood, like I think we're through the worst of it. Like we're not in the clear yet, but I do feel like with a vaccine on the way, with an administration in January that will take the pandemic more seriously, I feel like there's cause for a little bit of hope, maybe a little bit of optimism, Melissa.
Hmm. Yes, you definitely shared that with us last week, that you were definitely on the more optimistic side, and I was on the I don't know. But
We got
that
we got to
spread.
have
I'm
balance,
feeling
Melissa.
better
That's
this
what life
week.
is about, that balance.
I'm feeling
Yes,
a little bit
I
more
wanted to jump in on that. Like, I'm more of a negative person. I'll
Mm.
be on the balancing side instead of being
optimistic.
neutral. So that is quite exciting. I also wanted to accept the challenge and reached out to one of the victim. He shared the story, and I promised him like uh, I'll do whatever it takes to help him out to bring his story to the attention.
Mm.
And that is one of the thing like I wanted to share that story in this episode with you guys and ask about what do you think about that, because this is something we were not taking any sides. We were talking about modern slavery and how trafficking victims or non-immigrants who are coming on a visa and being held as a hostage, how do they get justice, right? So those are the topics we have covered for quite a long time.
Yes.
So this story, the person said during the pandemic, he was offered more than $100,000. I believe he must be a top level executive or developers or software programmer. He said he was offered by one of the reputed healthcare provider a job in the month of March.
Mm.
Through his employer, he was asked to move from Texas to Kentucky, and he traveled, relocated himself, driving thousands of miles, went to the client location, and to his surprise, when he joined, we all know that pandemic hit us and everything got shut down. He was asked to go home and work from home, and he was not able to relocate because of that, and
Mm.
he had to reshuffle and come back thousands of miles back again and change all his plans. Meanwhile, trying to work remotely, and he was working for 5 weeks down the line. And what he said was, without any reason, without giving any chance to hear his side, his employer fired him.
Mm.
And that was surprising. And he was trying to analyze, get hold of his manager and find out what happened. And his manager told that, like, why did he made a comment in the meeting? And he was so shocked, like, oh, what does that mean? And he said, I just made a comment saying that, like, during a meeting session, they asked for feedback. How did the meeting go? And he jokingly, he did said that to everyone, saying that I just kidding, and said like the meeting looked like White House coronavirus briefing kind of thing. So that forced them to think that like he is, I don't know what, he's against Donald Trump or Republicans, or
Mm.
I don't know how that has played out. But immediately, the very evening, he was told that, like, why did you bring that up? And his manager blasted him. And the very next day, he was cut off from the access and he was fired, it seems. And he was so shocked, and he doesn't know like how to go ahead and file a complaint or file
Mhm.
discrimination charge or sue the company, because it's $1 billion company. He was mentioning that, and I did said like we will fight it out, we will help you out, and that is
Yeah.
why like I wanted to ask you guys, like, can we start naming those companies and blacklist those companies and create an awareness and take it to the management and see like why did they do that. And the surprising part, within the 4 months period, the company has come back to him and rehired him again for the same
Okay.
position, for the same client. They have offered him 100,000, the same salary as well.
Okay.
That is weird, isn't it? And
Yes.
he said like I can share all the documents and proof. And
Mhm.
they hired him and they did a background check again for him after running his payroll for 3 months and firing him without giving notice and rehiring him after 4 months for the same position for the same client. And now they are not allowing him to work for the client.
Hmm.
Wow. I am puzzled as you guys.
Yeah.
So what do you say to this? He said like if I am on an H1B visa, imagine what would I do? How do
Mhm.
I get justice? So this is worse than I don't know how to say. So how are we going to help him out?
Yeah. That that's a weird situation, JK. Like it doesn't. It sounds like you got a lot of, how would you say it, Melissa? Like corporate, like malfeasance, corporate incompetence, corporate like just in the fact that they kind of strung the guy along. Like
They are playing
pick
some
up
crazy
everything, move
games.
out here, yeah. And then you make one comment in a meeting, and it's like, oh, we don't want you anymore. And then we come back, oh yeah, we do want you. It feels like there needs to be, and I agree, JK. Like we need to name these companies because
Absolutely.
if they can continue to operate in anonymity, they'll be able to continue to treat people like this and treat the workers like this. But like, yeah, Melissa, I feel like, especially in a pandemic, because we've seen like the failure at every level, whether you're talking about the corporate level or the government level,
Mhm.
of taking care of people in the middle of all this, and the fact that this guy lost his job in, he said 5 months, so March, April, May, June, July, and the CARES Act, which was the uh, bill that the government passed to add bonuses to unemployment and all that stuff, that ran out in August. So I don't even know if he was able to apply for unemployment or if he was able to get some type of workers, compensation during that time period. But like, yeah, this it just feels like just negligence from a corporate side, Melissa.
The unemployment, I was actually thinking about that myself, Nate. Like, was he even able to get unemployment now? Because I know with the way unemployment works, you have to be out of work for a certain amount of time. So for them to fire him, then hire him back, then fire him again, that like, I don't even know if he would be eligible, but that is horrible that they would do that. And then it makes me wonder, how many employees have they done that
Mm.
to? How
Hmm.
many do they continue to plan to do that to? So we definitely would, I would love for us to be able to name these companies and bring more awareness, because with that, more people will come forward. I mean, with just one
Yeah.
employee, it is a lot harder with billion-dollar companies to say they did this, and that to me. They're going to try to cover that right up. But
Hmm.
with able to have so many people come forward, because 9 times out of 10, this is not the first person,
Yeah.
having that united front coming forward and say, hey, this is what's happening here. This isn't right. You can't do this to people. I think that'll be good for us to start putting that out here, because that's insane. I like, people have families. People, even if they
Hmm.
don't have families, they have themselves to take care of. That's insane. That's so unfortunate. Are you in still communication with him now, JK? Was he able to find other employment in the meantime? Like, is he okay?
Yes, Melissa. I am trying to get as much information from him so that we can channel this to the authorities or to the management and say like,
Mhm.
hey guys, you have wronged somebody in this way. Why did that happen? Again, he said like he doesn't want like any justice, and it's absurd to even talk about those things, because what he said was a complete abuse, and the angle in which he tells the story is quite amazing. Because if somebody has been fired for some reason, right, why did they hire him back again in
Exactly.
next 3 months? That's strange. And the question he asks is, I am not on a visa. So they are trying to exploit. If I am on a visa, then if I lose a job in 2 months, if I don't get another job, I have to leave the country.
Hmm.
Luckily, I am not in that. So he said, like, you can name the companies. And he even said very disturbing things. I don't want to bring that up, but he said like two women, like Pam and Sam from Humana, his manager. They are the one who even was trying to hug him when the pandemic was there, and saying that like we are a hugger, and hugged him
Hmm.
when he went to the office, and he was very uncomfortable. So all those things he is saying it to me, like I don't know what to say. uh, I don't know, probably he is not comfortable in sharing all those details, but he did mention that he will share the documents for us to verify the authenticity, because I don't want like to put some misinformation, wrong information,
Right.
target the billion-dollar company, right? The employer is Atos Sintel, and that is what he shared. And I'm trying to ask him to share the evidence, because without evidence, it will turn out like a false thing, right? You are
Mhm.
claiming, president is claiming that, like after losing the election, saying that it's a fraud, something like that. We don't want to do that.
Right.
We
No.
said like, if we really want to help you out, we need proof, we need
Yeah.
to see those things. And he said like, I can share you the recordings of the interviews I had the next time, and I will show you those things as well. So it looks like he is prepared, and he wants to fight it out. But he was quite interested in what we are doing, and he said like, let me put it out in your platform and let the whole world know that like what's going on.
Right. And it's very important, like you're saying there, JK, to have proof. And if you can, speak up, against these companies. Because the truth is, like, it's hard enough to get justice, or it's hard enough to get things, made right, even with the proof. Because like you said,
Absolutely.
Melissa, like they've got lawyers, they've got money, they've got ways to make things,
Cover it up.
cover it
Make
up,
it
make
go
things
away.
disappear. Yep. And so like the only thing that, a worker in this situation has is the truth. And
Hmm.
so it's very important. Like if you're in a situation like this, if you haven't started already, like start to keep notes, start to keep
Hmm.
receipts and copies of emails. And if you have, conversations that you've had with individuals in management, make sure you're keeping track of that, because at the end of the day, it's going to be your word against this big companies, and all that you've got really to fight for you is the truth.
Absolutely. That is a good point, Nate. I know he said that he had proof of the interviews and all that, and that is good too. Anything going forward, keep documents of everything,
Hmm.
because they are going to try to fight this like there's no tomorrow. But that doesn't mean that they'll win. So that's very good to make sure that you keep everything. Even if
Yeah.
it doesn't seem important, keep it. Okay.
Yeah. Because again,
You-
like going back to the story that JK just let us know about, like who would have thought that just like a silly, like an offhand remark or offhand joke, right, would
Yeah.
be the reason that they said that they fired this person. And
No
so,
warning.
right, without
No.
warning. And so, yeah, like if you get in a situation where, you're your spider senses, kind of start tingling, and you're like, something about this working relationship isn't right. It isn't the
Mm,
way it's supposed to be. You know, definitely start, like you said, Melissa. That documentation is going to be your friend, because you know they can get up there and lie and say that they didn't do anything wrong, but you've got the proof. And if you got the proof, it might take a while. And the truth is, with a company like this, it probably will take a while. But at the end of the day, you've got the truth, you've got the facts, and that's what matters.
absolutely. And the fight is worth it. Like you said, it may take a while, but you'll get the justice you receive. And then hopefully it prevents it for future
Yeah.
employees, because this is insane. I can't believe that they would just, for one, fire someone with just, oh, this is it. Like no warning, no
Hmm.
type of, if you felt so bothered, write-ups, no nothing. And then to hire you back months later, and just, that doesn't, it's
Right.
very wrong. It doesn't make any sense. They're really playing here. And I can't imagine that their policy for them to be $1 billion company, they've got to have something in there that says that this should not be a thing in the first place anyway.
Hmm.
So they're going against a lot here. So
Yeah,
we,
I agree. And the thing that Martina mentioned, right, the human trafficking
Yes.
attorney, like she was mentioning that, like how the companies are violating the culpability clause or something, like, oh, they are contractors, they are not our employees, we
Hmm.
wash our hands. So something like that, like they are trying to do that. And I believe that, like, the person who wanted to go back again, why did he attend the interview and why he was rehired? uh, I asked him those questions, and he said, like, he wanted to see that what exactly transpired them to fire him in the first place, and
okay,
why do they have this mechanism, and coming back to him again saying that, like, we have a job for you, and
Hmm.
they do the interview and select him and to go through the same process again, right? It's like
Right.
uh, a prison system. I would bring in, like, one of the guests who agreed to come to us in the next few episodes. Probably we can try to see if he can help us out, because he is a former prisoner. That's what he said, and he
Hmm.
turned criminal justice reform advocate. And quite interestingly, he agreed to participate in those kind of domestic violence. Even Elizabeth Vera, she speaks Spanish as well, and she said, like, she is also interested to come as a guest and talk on those kind of violence and abuse topics.
Okay.
And I mean, this is literally, uh, I I don't know how to say, like, how even an educated elite people who are earning more are going through these kind of abuses. How do they find, like, it's a simple mechanism. They say, like, oh, you are fired, if you want, you go and sue us, find an advocate. So that is that simple? And why do they people have this kind of bad relationship and character? That is something puzzles me, like, how can we change those things through dialogue and conversations? That's my uh,
Hmm. And see, I think those are great questions, JK. And I feel like, personally, my opinion on that is, it's a process, because the way that systems of power and systems of business and commerce have kind of been set up in America basically since the beginning. There's a reason why things are the way they are today in 2020. And so, yeah, I can easily see, when you're saying that the corporations just kind of like, what are you going to do? Sue me? Like, we don't care, because they've been rewarded, whether it's financially or whether it's in a position of prestige, over the years, by behaving that way. And Melissa, you're right in that so few people actually speak up against these kind of abuses and violations in the workplace, because they don't know what to do, or they're concerned about the repercussions, or they don't feel like they can fight this big $1 billion company. And so there's like this arrogance built in.
Ugh.
in corporate America, where the companies think that they can get away with stuff because, to be honest, they have been getting away with this stuff for years and years. And so, when we talk about a situation like the story JK brought up, like, I feel like having the courage to kind of step up and say, I'm not gonna stand for this, and I'm gonna do something about it. Like, I think that's the first step, because again, like, these businesses have been getting away with stuff like this for, like, since before you and I were born, Melissa.
Absolutely, Nate. That's so true. They have so much power. They've gotten away with so much for so long, and they've seen it happen generations before them and before them. So they're like, oh, I know I can do this. I'll be fine. But the only way for us to make a change and for these things to not happen like this, people do need to come forward. So that it's ridiculous that it should even be a conversation in the first place, but unfortunately it is in so many different ways, shapes, or forms. There are people out there that are just going to feel like they can treat people any way that they can. So we're stronger in numbers. So
Yes.
definitely, I'm sure there's some people out there who have been in that situation with that company.
Hmm.
So it'll be interesting to see going forward. Once this is out here, we have all the facts and we're able to put the real names out there, and people get to see this. They see, oh wow, I've worked there, this happened to me. We can all come forward
Yeah.
together and we can stop this. It can stop now
Well,
because
yes, and that's the thing, Melissa. Like, I love that you said that. It takes one person, because, yeah, like, even if you look at something like in Hollywood over the last few years with,
mm,
the Me Too
me
movement and
too.
things like that, with women, and men too, that have been abused by folks in the industry. And, like, there's a lot of people that didn't want to say anything
Right.
because they didn't know how it would affect their career, or they didn't want to, embarrass their families or whatever. But when one person stands up, and that's why, again, getting to the story that JK told us, like, it takes courage to speak up, because there's a lot of people that won't, for whatever reason. And so, yeah, like, it's gonna be something that feels like a daunting task. Like, I'm just one person. Like, what can I
Mhm.
do against this corporation, or what can I do against this industry that's using these, uh, you know, incorrect practices? But that's all it takes, Melissa. It just takes one person to get the ball rolling, because, like you said, there is strength in numbers. And you may not feel like you matter in the grand scheme of things, but you might be the one person that's necessary for somebody else over here to speak up, and then that person inspires somebody else to speak up. So I do feel like, Melissa, like, there's a lot of power in your voice. And so, yeah, like I would say to the worker that's in contact with JK and anybody else out there in a situation like this, the company has so much power anyway. Don't give them the power of you being silent. Use your voice, use, the facts that are on your side. And it's not going to be easy, because of the way that things are balanced in America and, around the world, frankly. But it's worth it, because there's so many people that I think are in the situation, same situation as this person that wrote us.
Absolutely. I like that you said it's worth it, but it may not be easy. I always say anything really worth having, it's not going to come easy, and worth having that the justice and to know you did nothing wrong. Okay. They were very wrong, very in the wrong. And you come forward, you bring that proof,
Yep.
and like you said, it probably will get the ball rolling. You'll have people. We stand with you. Stop Now is with you already. We are already on board. So you are not alone here. Anybody who feels like they need to come forward, you're not alone, because you have a whole community here and we
Mhm.
are definitely with you. So we do hope to hear more from this story very soon. And I'm sure more people will be coming forward to stand with you as well.
Absolutely.
Thank you, guys. I think I sounded the same thing to him, saying that, like, you don't have to worry, and we will back you up, and we will stand by you. And it's a courageous act, right? He has to come forward, and he was very skeptical, saying that, like, I can't come on camera, and even sharing the story might put me in a spot where
Right.
I am committing a professional suicide. I will not be hired. So he said so many things. I said, like, you don't have to do anything. Like, the whole world is out there, and you are talented, and you will get a job. And if not, we will help you out to find you the right one, rather
Mhm.
than living in fear, right? So he said, like, he has gone through a lot of abuse, and he kept quiet for a long time. And that's why, like, he was shocked when this happened, because he didn't expect uh, something to happen so quick. And that is, again, people, how do we even talk about sexual abuse, right? Or domestic violence? I
Mhm.
don't know. Even for these kind of job related work, people fear and not able to speak up. Then other emotional things are quite daunting, I would say. Like, let's see. Hopefully, I think we will be joined by other guests and other callers in the coming weeks. And I will keep a tab and try to follow up on the story, and try to, we all can help him out in that.
Definitely. Please keep us updated. I'm gonna be
Yes.
thinking about this one. So yes, let us know what you hear.
Yeah, and because I think, it, that fear, that sense of doubt, that sense of, this could jeopardize my job prospects going forward. Like that's a very real thing. And again,
Hmm.
that's why having a support system, having a community around you that is willing to stand up and advocate for you, I think that's very important.
That's right. That's why this foundation stop now is so important. I don't see a lot of things like this, that, you have people from so many different nationalities and parts of the world. They're able to come and share their story and talk about the injustice that they've, experienced in life, and know that you have people here that support you, that are here for you, that are willing to help you. So it's just, it's really amazing, the foundation that they have here, because it's just, it is scary. It is scary to come forward. You never know what the outcome may be, but the outcome will be nothing if you do nothing. So
Mhm.
it's very important to come forward.
Yeah, like that's the thing, Melissa. If people don't speak up, if people don't stand up for themselves and for others, the system doesn't change. And so I think, maybe, looking back at the year, it's getting towards the end of the year, and people start to do their lists of, the top movies of the year or the top songs of the year, and start reminiscing about everything over the years. I think one of the big themes for this year, Melissa, was people saying that things need to change. Whether you're talking
Absolutely.
about, the Black Lives Matter movement, and what the country went through during the summer, after the death of George Floyd and so many others, or whether you're talking about, the debate about healthcare, in the midst of a pandemic, people are starting to realize, like, oh yeah, maybe healthcare shouldn't be something that is so tied to somebody's workplace or so tied to somebody's pocketbook. And I think, you know, there are things that are going to always be part of America, for better or for worse. But I do feel like this is a year, Melissa, that could be very interesting when we look back at it, down the road, because I think a lot of people this year just kind of either woke up, or they came to realization, like, we can't keep doing this, we can't keep doing the same things and expecting different results. And so, again, the folks that are out there in a situation like that, where you feel trapped, you feel like, your employer is not looking out for you, you're in a situation that isn't productive, isn't good for you or your family. Like, if you speak up, yes, it's scary, but that's the only way things can start to change.
Definitely, Nate. That is the woke up. That was what was in my mind while you were talking. It was like this year was definitely the year that, people, they weren't able to do what they were able to do before. You had to, be still a little bit more this year. And with
Mm.
stillness, people came to the realization, there's a lot of broken things going on in this country.
Yep.
We need to change a lot. It's a lot more than I thought it was. So, it bad year in a way, but in a way it's also like we're about to go somewhere. I think it's about to be some improvements here. So definitely a year of the awakening here, I believe. But yeah, I definitely think that we are getting closer to the end, though. Nate, you got any
I was
final
gonna say
thoughts?
the one thing I know isn't broken, Melissa, is your watch, because you always you always keep us on time, Melissa. But yeah, I guess before we get out of here this week, again, I want to thank everybody for watching and thank everybody for supporting the show and the organization. But yeah, I would say kind of getting back to that last point that we were talking about, Melissa, in terms of fixing things and working together to help fix the system so that it works for everybody, is
Yes.
that it's the blessing and the curse of 2020, like you said, Melissa, and that so many people had to change things that they didn't know, that they weren't used to. A lot of people weren't used to being home as much as they were this year. A lot of people, weren't used to asking for help. I know they've done a lot of stories on the news, both on, national news and local news, of people going to food banks for the first time or going to soup kitchens for the first time, just because times are so tough for everybody. There are people that have had to go on unemployment for the first time that never would have thought about it. And so,
Right.
like, I think a lot of those kind of old, antiquated attitudes that maybe people had in the past, Melissa, and maybe people
Mhm.
still have today, about, helping out other folks. And it's like, why don't you just work for a living? You pull yourself up by your own bootstraps. And like, it's kind of hard to do that, Melissa, when folks don't even have boots on right now.
Right.
And so I feel like, maybe as bad as this year has been, maybe this will be a time for America to kind of reflect on what works and what doesn't work and how we can get things to work for everybody. Because at the end of the day, that's the only way things are going to, work, Melissa, is if we all do it together. And so, yes, I think this was a great way to end things on a note of unity, Melissa. So I hope my optimism and positivity have helped bring you and JK up a little bit this week.
I'm feeling it, Nate. I'm feeling it.
Yeah, again, on that note, before we end, like, I'll thank you all for the support to keep our show live,
Yes.
and many more stories to come up. And I'm trying hard, like, to get people on board to come on the screen and share their story. That will be more interesting for them. And those who have a fear of not disclosing their identity, we have come up with the mask concept, right? So I can put that up, like, and I can play that role and show that, like, we care for you and we will protect you.
Mm-hmm.
So we can do that, and I will voice for them.
Mm. Yeah, again, yeah, I think that's important, JK, is that folks share their story, because we can't find a solution if people aren't talking. So yeah, thank you for everybody for supporting the show. Melissa, don't forget to let the people know about subscribing, because I know that's your favorite part of the show, when you get to tell people how they can subscribe and make sure they up to date on all these stories.
Yes, Nate. I do love to let all of you guys know to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you can receive a special gift from us.
That is going to be exciting. So yeah, this is a good show. We had a good conversation. We had a good. Well, the story wasn't good, but I feel like what can come out of the story is good,
Absolutely.
out of that abuse by that employer. So want everybody out there to be safe. Remember, wear a mask, wash your hands, all that good stuff. And Melissa, we'll be waiting next week to hear how your challenge went.
Absolutely. I got you. I got you. You guys send us an email. Our team will be in touch with you soon if you need to. And bye for now.
Bye.
Stop Now, a social experiment enterprise. Stop, listen, share. everyone can make a difference. We are on a mission. Everyone should do something greater in their lifetime. Change the future. Be a proud member. Join us to support, volunteer, and donate.